Happy Tuesday, Razorback fans. 4 days until Bobby Petrino returns to Fayetteville, Missouri State versus Arkansas this Saturday. Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium, 6 p.m. You're going to have to stream it, ESPN Plus or SEC Network Plus. Oh, goodness, Robert. So we got Sam Pittman yesterday. We got Bobby Petrino yesterday. We got practice yesterday. A lot to talk about on today's podcast, but I want to lead with this. I've got Robert Stewart with me. You're listening to the Gridiron Hogs podcast, part of the HawgBeat podcast network, HawgBeat.com. Go to HawgBeat.com for all the great content on Arkansas football, basketball, baseball. Robert, neck braces or no? What do you think?
I mean, I think they're going to happen, and I think it will be funny. My thing is like, how many of the current Arkansas students remember the incident as it happened? Like, I know you and I do because we were watching Razorback football in 2011, 2012, but like, how many of them actually get it? You know?
I agree with you there. And I think that that's a valid point. You got to think there's a lot of the fan base from like Texas, and they're just coming to Arkansas because it's Austin North, and they don't really understand, Arkansas athletics as a whole, but Arkansas football, all that's happened, like a lot has happened since Bobby Petrino. Um, but there are some fans and some students that do remember. And I, for one, think that it's hilarious, and do it if you want to. I think it's going to be funny. The people who say that it's like stupid and they shouldn't do it and it's disrespectful, it's like, I know Bobby Petrino is not the same person that he was, but he kind of dug his own hole there. Like, it's unfortunate that, he got in an accident and he had to wear a neck brace because of the accident. Like, that's unfortunate, but it's hilarious. Like, it's funny, and it's going to be funny when they wear them.
Right. I mean, he kind of did it to himself. Like, it it's going to be funny. Like, I mean, there's not much you can say. Like, if he didn't want this to happen, or if there are people out there who don't want this to happen, then perhaps they have nobody but Bobby Petrino himself to blame. Um, I think I think the real question is he going to get cheers or boos? What's the breakdown going to be? Because like I don't know. I feel like if I were a fan, I would have no animosity toward him. He was the last truly good Arkansas football coach until Sam Pittman.
Yeah, I don't think booing him is really what you do. I don't. I think that there will be boos, and maybe that's just because it's the opposing team, and that's what you do. You boo the opposing team. Um, I don't. I don't feel like there will be boos directed at Bobby Petrino, specifically. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's going to be interesting. We kind of talked about it yesterday, and we'll get into what we saw at practice, what we heard from Pittman, what we heard from Petrino. Um, Yesterday we kind of talked about it. Like, this is probably the most interesting and busy FCS team week that you're going to cover, for Arkansas football. Like, when Arkansas is playing an FCS team, it's kind of like a light week, not a whole lot to do for the other team. But when Bobby Petrino's on the other side, it's a little bit different. So we're going to get into what Bobby Petrino said about Arkansas, about Sam Pittman yesterday, and then on the flip side, what Sam Pittman said about Bobby Petrino. But first, let's talk about practice, Robert. We were out at practice yesterday, and a few takeaways, not a whole lot, but the big ones: no Miles Slusher, despite the fact that we think he's going to play Saturday. Sam Pittman seems, at least kind of confident that Slusher will play against Missouri State. He did say Ladarius Bishop, backup corner for Arkansas, he is not going to play Saturday. We don't really know what his injury is. Pittman didn't release that information, but we know he's not going to play Saturday. He was not at practice. And so that is one less person in that secondary that doesn't really need more injuries. And talking about secondary injuries, Latavius Brini, he was limping yesterday at practice. We know that he had an injury on Saturday. Sam Pittman kind of hit it. And then we saw at practice. I mean, I watched him, move around a little bit. He was not putting a whole lot of weight on that right ankle. I don't. It's probably just precautionary. I'm sure once he gets into game speed, he'll be fine. But you can tell that he's uncomfortable. And the same thing with Trey Knox. He was, not putting a whole lot of weight on his right ankle at all. They were doing drills, blocking drills, and he would have the pad, and whoever it was pushing him back, Trey Knox would like hop on one leg. Like he wouldn't even be putting his right leg down a whole lot at all. So um to me, I look at it as you don't need to play Trey Knox this Saturday. I don't think you do. Latavius Brini, you might have to. I feel like with Bishop not being there, Catalon's already out. Slusher, we've heard from Pittman that he might play, but I think he's still questionable. Maybe a game time decision. Uh, can you afford to have Brini out? Like I don't know how good Missouri State's pass game is going to be, but this secondary, I mean, they can't afford another injury, Robert.
No, you're right. They can't. But at the same time, I mean, Arkansas opens this game as nearly 40-point favorites. Like you bring up a good point. If there's a week to rest players, it's got to be this one. And 40-point spread, whatever, it doesn't really mean anything in the eyes of players on either team, coaches on either team. But I mean, I I'm advocating for every player who, you know, is is a little banged up. Maybe not Slusher, maybe not Latavius Brini, just because like you need the secondary. But yeah, like you said, Knox, I don't think he should play. Give him another week to recover. Dominique Johnson, I don't even feel like he needs to come back. He was back in practice again, no green jersey. Um, so I don't know. I think let the offense go with Rocket Sanders and Nathan Backs. They'll be just fine. Certainly in the backfield. But I think I do remember Sam Pittman explicitly saying that Miles Slusher was going to play. Of course, if he's not at practice Monday, that's not a great sign, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on throughout the week.
Yeah, no, I look at it and Dominique Johnson didn't have a brace on his right knee, which was the first time in a while that he didn't have a brace on his right knee. Um, I disagree with you there. I think Dominique Johnson should get some snaps in this game. I think you need to get him some live game action, let him get hit a little bit. I mean, keep him on a low snap count in this game, maybe 20 snaps or something, maybe not even that much, but give him some carries, let him get popped, let him, kind of ease back into things before you let him go back, I guess, full against Texas A&M next weekend. I think that that's the way they need to do it. So, um, and I can really kind of see that. Sam Pittman did say that it's another situation where it's really just a decision for Dominique. It seems like Pittman and the staff think that he's good to go. It's just whether or not Dominique feels like he's good to go. And so they got to figure that out. Um,
He did say he was cleared to play, right? Like medically.
yeah, he said he's clear. Let me find the exact quote. Let's see. Oh, this is bad radio, Robert. Bad radio.
Yeah, it's a tough look. Sorry for bringing it up.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Dominique, we have to watch it. I don't know. No, I don't find it. I don't see it anywhere. He said he was clear to play. I know he said he was clear to play because I tweeted that out. Um, let's talk about what Bobby Petrino said about Arkansas. So Bobby Petrino met with the media yesterday. Didn't really get any juicy quotes from Bobby Petrino. He was asked some questions like, "Have any memories come up this week? Just knowing that you're going to go back to Arkansas, go back to Fayetteville." He said, "I think we'll see when I get there." And then he went on and said, like coach speak, like we're just focusing on the week and the preparation and all that. Um, and he said it's not about me; it's about our football team. So it seems like Bobby Petrino has the right mindset, at least with what he's going to say to the media. And he's not going to talk to his team. He's probably saying to his team, these guys, people, fired me, so let's go beat them. I feel like you think that's probably something he's saying.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, I think he holds his time at Arkansas in a very high regard. Saw a clip from the Little Rock Touchdown Club circulating yesterday. I don't know when that was from, but um, I would assume his mindset changes a little bit on game week. Like you said, he's probably wanting to go out there and get some revenge against the school that fired him. But I mean, similar to the way that I don't really hold animosity against him. I think it's probably mutual. I mean, he just wants to go out there and win a football game this week.
Yeah, and another thing with that is like he's pretty far removed from his tenure with Arkansas. It's been a while now. I think so. He got fired in April of 2012. So we're
Been
over yeah, we're over 10 years since then, and he's been in different. He went back to Louisville. He's at Missouri State now, so it's like he's. I'm sure he doesn't think about Arkansas very often. Um, he was asked. Let's see, what else was he asked? He was asked about Sam Pittman. He said Sam's done a great job. When you watch them play, first and foremost, you see that they have beliefs in what they're doing offensively, defensively. The coaches really believe in it, and the players go out and execute it. What he's done with that program, he's done a great job. So some praise for Sam Pittman there. Uh, I just I think it's interesting, man. The Arkansas is a top 10 team when Bobby Petrino comes to town. That's the last time that Arkansas was this consistent and this good was when Bobby Petrino was here. Like so it's a top 10 matchup of sorts because Missouri State's a top. I think they're number 5 in the FCS rankings, and Arkansas is number 10. So it's going to be fun to see. Pittman talked about how he doesn't really know Bobby Petrino. They haven't really crossed paths, but he was also like, I don't want to say that we haven't, and we have at some point. And then the guy's like, well, I've met Pittman before, so classic Sam Pittman thing on Bobby Petrino. But Pittman had the coach speak as well, like they're a really good team. I like these players, blah blah blah, but I'm curious just to see the atmosphere. I think that the stadium is going to be more packed for this game than it would ever be for an FCS game, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And one more thing Pittman said, and you can chalk this up to be coach speak too, but I thought it was interesting that he gave Petrino credit um for like laying the foundation for what he has been able to do at Arkansas in a way. I mean, Pittman took over in 2020 was his first season. 2011 was Petrino's last. I mean, that's 9 years removed, and he still gave Petrino a little bit of credit for what they've been able to do. I mean, I guess having having any kind of recent memory of a good Razorback football team that 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 warrants that. I don't know.
I have to think that it's probably a conversation of, look, Arkansas has been there before. Like, look back to this Arkansas team not even 10 years ago, and they were a top 10 program, number 3 in the country at one point. And so Arkansas can get there, and we need you to help. Here's what Sam Pittman said. He said last time Arkansas was relevant was when Coach Petrino was here. We're grateful for his time here and what he did for the program. We've used that in recruiting. Without him and his staff, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So I think that was interesting. And then he went on to talk about fans being upset. Let's talk about that. Fans being upset about the top 10 ranking. And
Trying to recruit.
I posted this story, and a lot of the comments on like Facebook and our message board, the trough over at HawgBeat.com, were, who the heck would be upset about Arkansas being ranked top 10? Like, how would anybody do that? And like, I was like, just read the story and you'll see people being upset. They're like, who cares about it ranking? I don't care. Just play the dang game, those kind of people. Like, the ranking doesn't matter. And Sam Pittman was like, well, it matters to me. We're proud of it. It helps in recruiting. So I don't really care what you have to say. So go check that story out on HawgBeat.com. It's a good story.
I think it's hilarious that he used like one reply on Twitter to go on a 30-second rant yesterday.
Yes, let me pull up the reply, who the person who said it. because they put it out there. I don't care if I say it out loud. Here we go. This was a reply to Sam Pittman. All he did was post the an image of just number 10 in the Associated Press poll, and at Greg Prov 1 on Twitter, Coach, I don't care where we rank throughout the year, so long as we're at the championship game at the end of the year. Go Hogs. And you know that was the exact person that Sam Pittman was talking about because, first of all, he said 50-year-old guy. Greg Prov looks like a 50-year-old. And then Greg was the only one in the comments who had any sort of comment that was like negative. So it had to have been Greg Prov, and we found him, and there he is.
He said, I'm not tweeting to y'all, to 50-year-old man.
Yeah. Let me
Recruit.
let me find it. Here we go. Let's see. I tweeted out that we're number 10, and then I got some responses. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, I ain't tweeting it out to you guys or a 50-year-old man. I'm trying to use it as recruiting, you know? So I really don't care what the guys say, you know what I mean? And then he goes, I'm trying to recruit. I love Sam Pittman, dude. He just has those lines where he's not even intentionally trying to be that way, and it's just funny. Um, and then in that story, there's also some Facebook comments as well. Facebook is like, it gets crazy over there on Facebook, man. Twitter actually compared to Facebook is like a decent place sometimes, and some people are kind of shocked about that, but I think that is true. So, all right, Robert. So we decided neck braces are a good thing. Sam Pittman and Bobby Petrino both respect each other. Bobby Petrino isn't really going to say anything about Arkansas that's going to, be a headline. And Sam Pittman's definitely not going to say anything. Well, aside from the I'm trying to recruit thing, but we already wrote about that. So I'll have a story out with everything that Bobby Petrino said about Arkansas on HawgBeat.com today. So go check it out, HawgBeat.com. And so let's get you on your way. But before we do, I want to remind you about our friends at MyPerfectFranchise.net. That is Andy Ledecky. Are you a displaced corporate executive or wanting to put your career in your own hands? And I know some of you are, because you're at work right now listening to this podcast thinking that. Or are you an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify? Also, you're listening to this podcast as well. Andy Ledecky can help. He's a longtime Rivals member, so he understands you. He's a football guy. He's a fan of sports, and he can connect with you there. And he's also a franchise veteran, having owned multiple franchises and businesses. He uses that expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. Call Andy, put your life and career in your own hands, because it's 100% free and you have nothing to lose. Call him 404-973-9901 or email him Ledecky, that's ALUEDECKE at myperfectfranchise.net, or visit myperfectfranchise.net to get started on this new chapter in your life. All those details will also be down below in the description, so go check it out. It's just worth checking out. It's a very thorough process. It'll help you. You can diversify that portfolio and make some more money easily. All they're going to do is just help you, and it's free. It's absolutely free. So what do you have to lose? Okay, Robert, we'll talk to everybody on Wednesday. We got practice today, players. We'll talk about what we saw there, what we heard, and talk to everybody on the Gridiron Hogs podcast tomorrow.